So, clear out the room, I'm coming through. They wanna see what I'm about. Yeah, I got skills, do it for the thrill. I'm on a paper route. Extra, read about it. I'm today's trending topic. I put commas over bullshit. Yeah, I put that on mamas. They tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost a stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping. Put on for the whole city. Yeah, I got them rocking with me. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm repping.
Sending emojis, I'm blowing a pack of that OG. Don't be acting like you know me, and if you did, that's the old me.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody's having a great day. Today I had a relaxing day. Just kind of chilled out, still in search of a vehicle, which I think and I hope is working out. We've been practicing a lot of patience the last few days in our vehicle search, which has been an interesting feat if anyone heard the live stream yesterday. But practicing patient and letting go and letting our higher power do the work seems to be paying off. Some good things happened today. Had a acquaintance in the recovery field that just happened to be selling a vehicle, and it may work out. We're supposed to go look at it tomorrow. So, it's just the blessings of recovery and practicing patience and principles in all our affairs. It's a pretty awesome thing. And I'm grateful for that. It hasn't been easy to slow myself down and practice patience in all my affairs by any means. Not at all. If anyone's viewing or coming in and is going to view in from the Recovery 101 group page, allow StreamYard to pop your name in on chat so I can see. Otherwise, if you come in on Facebook or the blog page, I'll be able to see you either way. That way we can interact a little bit. But today I wanted to talk about the 12-step program that I personally work. One of the readings today was talking about self-acceptance and being the real me, being okay, with who I am and who I've become today, and letting go and being honest. I've always felt, especially growing up in my early teen years, being alone, being on my own had become normal. My parents had divorced at an early age, so I was brought up to be on my own and kind of become a man at an earlier age. So doing things on my own and being alone for the most part and doing my own thing was pretty normal. And it's not a good mix when you're an isolator and you enjoy being alone. It doesn't go hand in hand at all. And through the years, I unfortunately became one that I'm not a people person. I don't like huge crowds. I don't like being around large groups of people all the time. It raises my anxiety and I get that feeling of being really uncomfortable. And I have a tendency to leave. I just don't want to be around it. And it's just been really hard for me to accept me for who I am and the real me, because I've always felt apart. I've always felt like I was on the outside looking in because of the isolation and how, I was brought up and how things happened in my life when I was a child and into my early teens, and ultimately I was untrusting. I had thrown up huge walls and barriers, that barrier protection, especially when I got into my early 20s. For those that don't know me real well and haven't heard my story yet, I had gotten up over 500 pounds. I got to be a very large man, and food was my first addiction. And people can be super hateful when you're that big. Believe me, I've heard them all. I've heard a lot of nasty, hateful, just nasty things said and done. Literally felt like the elephant in the room everywhere I went. I just quit going out. It was hard for me to walk. It was hard for me to do anything. And people were just really ugly because I looked different, because of my weight, how big I was. And they gave me that feeling of being inadequate, unattractive. My intimacy level, sex drive was horrible. Still isn't great. It's getting a little better, but it's due to the abuse that I had gone through for decades. And, I'm just now starting to heal from a lot of that stuff. I threw up a lot of barriers, a lot of masks. I hid a lot, not only from myself, but from other people. And I isolated. It was just simply easier to put my drug of choice on the pain that I was dealing with and isolate. And I would sit in the depression, and it just became worse. And the anxiety would go through the roof. And I would get in my head, that stinking thinking. I would negative Nancy myself to death. I was really hard on myself. I'm my own worst critic. And I know when I'm lost in my head, that's a red flag and I'm in trouble. That negative thinking, because I am my own worst critic for sure. And I would just simply, like I said, I'd put my drug of choice on it and sit in my crap day in and day out. And I just got sicker and I got sicker and I got sicker. Today I'm learning slowly to be proud and accept me for me, and be not only honest with myself, but be honest with other people, so I can share and let others know where I'm at and how I'm feeling and what's really going on with me. Become vulnerable, practice the humility, accept me for me, and realize that not everyone's going to like me, and be okay with that, and just move on and not sit there and stew over what can I do to have this person like me, because I want everyone to like me. I just simply try not to do that today, because I've gone through so much pain and heard so many nasty things today that, that's on them. I have to realize that that's them. That's their thought process and where they're at in their recovery. Even if they're not in recovery, that's just who they are. That's where they're at, and just accept it. Not everyone's going to like me, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But, becoming honest and sharing about sexuality issues, the struggles I went through, as a early, young adult, as far as the weight struggles and things like that, those weren't easy things for me to talk about at all. But practicing the principles daily, day in and day out, and accepting me for me, it's becoming freedom from that isolation. Somebody said they only like me sometimes. Well, that's okay. If you don't like me and you got a sponsor, call them. That's funny. You love me, whoever it is. Everyone loves me. See, that's just my ego. That's my ego right there. But yeah, it's just becoming freeing, sharing and being honest with other people. It's really a freedom from isolation for me. It really is. To be able to humble myself in just what I like to call butt naked honest. I was just informed that was Nikki. That figures. We got our Arkansas re-ros in here. But, I'm glad you're here. It's allowed me to become closer, not only in a personal relationship with my girlfriend, but with other people, to become more intimate, like not necessarily intimate as in loving intimacy, but just personal intimacy, just sharing with one another and being open and honest with other people have gotten so much better. I can share honestly today with what's going on with me and set healthy boundaries with other people and stick to them to the best of my ability, because sometimes I fail at them. I can set them, and sometimes I stray apart from them. And I have to remember to stay vigilant and stick to those healthy boundaries that I set and just be okay with me. I'm just now starting to learn 15 and a half months in clean time, my likes and dislikes and who I really am, and being okay with who I'm becoming and being proud for how far I've came and where I was just a short period of time ago. And it's a beautiful thing. Sharing honest, as far as like using dreams or using thoughts and things like that have gotten a lot better for me. They're next to hardly ever happening anymore, which is a true blessing. But just being able to share and talk about them when I do have them, or I have that trigger when I'm out driving and I go past something, or I go into an old neighborhood, or I'm traveling by, and I can share and talk about little things like that. Like, that's normal. Things like that are going to happen, and being able to share and be honest about that when those happen, that's just a normal part of recovery. The key is the sharing and telling on it, and sharing that shit and getting it out, as an example. But just be proud. I'm extremely proud for who I am today and how far I've came and who I am and who I'm becoming. I enjoy being of service. I get to be of service daily. I'm doing things. I'm trying not to limit myself. I'm going outside my box. This is extremely outside my box and not normal for me. Yes, butt naked honest. And definitely stop pumping quarters in that ass kicking machine. Give yourself a break, people. You all deserve it. Every one of us deserves giving ourselves a break. Because I'm super hard on myself, and it sucks. But again, I am proud for who I'm becoming. I'm proud and excited to be working in the recovery field, because I get to not only be an addict and be in recovery, I get to reach out and share and help other people. And that's what this is all about. This is why I do this day in and day out. It's not about numbers. It's not about if I have one viewer or 1,000 viewers. It's about saving lives and helping people and sharing that therapeutic value of one addict helping another, and hopefully saving a life and showing somebody another way, that you don't have to make the same mistakes and be stuck in that insanity and that chaos day in and day out, but there is another way. If one person watches this video and I help them today, my goal is complete, and I am an extremely happy man. Participate in your recovery today, guys. Be that hope shot. Be there for someone else. Share that experience, strength, and hope. I can't stress that enough, how important it is to share, and just share honestly and let everyone know where you're at. If you're struggling, pick the phone up. Use your sponsor, use your mentor, use your tools in your recovery toolbox, and reach out. Don't reach out after you picked up. Please reach out before you even think about picking up. Reach out and call someone. Let someone help you. That was really hard for me to do, was surrendering and asking for help, because I'm bullheaded, I'm stubborn, and I can be an asshole at times, and everyone knows it. And I can be honest about it, because I am, and I can be. But I'm getting better. I'm getting a lot better, and I'm healing. And it's the beauty of the program I personally work. I get to work on myself daily. When I make a mistake, I can admit my faults. I can do my personal inventory, and I can move on and just try to be a better person the next day in and day out. I'm not perfect. I never will be, and I'm okay with that. Show up today, guys. Not only show up for yourself, but show up for someone else. Be of service. I appreciate everyone being here tonight. I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to listen in to me ramble for about 15 minutes or so. I love you guys. If you haven't been on the Dayton Recovery 101 Facebook page or the blog, I'm on YouTube. Check me out. If you like what you hear and you want to share your experience, strength, and hope to other people, it's a recovery group like many others on Facebook. And the more we can get the message out there to others, the more we can help. I love you too. I know that's Nikki, because she's the only one that calls me Joe Blow now. That's awesome. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all being here tonight. Participate in your recovery. Thanks for being here. See you later.